What is up, YouTube? This is T.1 coming at you with another video, and today I'm going to be talking to you about Golden Apples of the Sun, the 1953 short story collection from Ray Bradbury. I talk a lot about Harryhausen on this channel, but what about my other favorite Ray? I really didn't discover his literary work until I read The Martian Chronicles about 2 years ago, but after that I was in love. Full transparency, I've always been more taken with his short fiction than his novels, which is weird for me. I usually don't read much short stories, but Ray really doesn't miss. At least I didn't think so. With Bradbury, every paragraph is a poem, and his prose is straight up transportive. And that's the biggest positive I can say about this book. Bradbury is one of the few writers who, even if you didn't really connect to the plot or characters, he's good enough that the experience of reading it is still enjoyable. There are some great stories in here. Obviously, there's the iconic A Sound of Thunder about a time travel big game hunt gone wrong. There's The April Witch, the story of a magical adolescent girl who can hop from body to body. Some of my other favorites are The Murderer, because the framing of that one was really funny, and The Foghorn's a banger. Funnily enough, that was the inspiration for the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, although the story is different. It's much darker and more reflective. It kind of reminded me of Robert Eggers' The Lighthouse, but if I'm picking one favorite, I'd probably have to say Here There Be Tigers. That one is quintessential Bradbury, where a description can unlock a mental picture you didn't know you had stored in there. He describes the serene place the astronauts land as a Sunday planet, and that's just so vivid. That having been said, of the four Ray Bradbury collections I've read, this one was my least favorite. I think part of it is all the others have a kind of unifying theme or gimmick. Illustrated Man has that great frame story. October Country has a kind of mood throughout, but this one's all over the place. And I get it, variety is often important for a collection. And I think if there were more winners in here, it might not bother me so much. But there's quite a few stories that, while not outright duds, they just didn't do anything for me, which is kind of an alien feeling if we're talking about the work of Ray Bradbury. Putting aside the ones I skipped because they were in other collections, there's some that either go on too long or stop right before they really add up to anything. The big black and white game is an especially head scratching entry in here. Maybe that one just went over my head, but I didn't really enjoy that one at all. I'm willing to entertain the notion that I've finally gotten used to his writing style. It's not shiny and new anymore, and maybe that's the reason my enthusiasm is dimmed a bit. Although there's also quite a bit of his early work in here. In the table of contents, a lot of the stories are dated, and there's several here from the beginning of his career, and that's what it feels like. The book overall just feels like something that needs a little more time in the oven. There's good ideas, no shortage of them, and Bradbury's signature warmth and poetic style are here too, but it's not a winner the way his other collections were. Powerhouse is a good example. Here's a story that has all the ingredients of one of his highlights. It's an intimate, personal tale of small town Americana while still possessing a big idea at its center. And yet, it just doesn't work. It feels like the entire 10 or 12 page story is the preamble to something that's at least a couple chapters from really getting interesting. And it's not the only one. I will say, even if the tone is jumbled for me personally, there is a heart to a lot of these. I believe there's a couple stories in here from Dandelion Wine. I'm not sure. That's one I've still never read. And Greentown, Illinois is definitely a lushly realized setting. I myself was always partial to his Martian stories. There's a couple of those in here, and they're all pretty good, but again, not great. And that kind of sums up my thoughts. This is not a bad book. I wish I enjoyed it more. I'm going to give it a 7, though if I was counting those stories from other collections that repeat in here, it'd probably bump it up to an 8 because there are some good ones. The Long Rain and The Exiles are especially pretty great. Anyway, this is T. Quinton 1 signing out.